There's a lot to talk about in this video. We're of course going to check in on Bitcoin and Ethereum levels. We're going to check in on a lot of crypto stocks because that's the narrative that needs to continue in terms of treasury companies. I'm going to give plenty of examples that have had huge moves. There is clearly a theme going on with some hype on the stock side. And the question is, can that translate into the altcoins themselves having big moves? There's a couple nice weekly equilibriums in the altcoin space that we're watching. And I've got a dentist appointment, so we need to hurry. Learn how to trade stocks, crypto, and hype sectors with a global chat room led by professional traders, as well as daily live streams at chartguys.com. All right, so before we get to the charts, check out on our website, shout out to Toby, who was putting together a pattern cheat sheet. And there's a lot of patterns. And so it's a good resource to check in on. You click them, they give you some information, briefly how to trade them, posting the link, free resource. There are a ton of free resources on our website. You could easily spend dozens of hours going through them all. Free. I just think back to when I was learning, like this didn't exist. You didn't have a source like this, a resource. Okay, so first things first, we care about Bitcoin key resistance, 113.5 thousand. That is the level. We had a little inverse head and shoulders attempt here with our left shoulder. There was our head, the right shoulder. We broke the right neckline. We failed the left neckline. So it's now a triple top. We failed it again today. We got right up, a couple $100 under it and rejected. So those are the two that's the resistance that I care about. In the short term, it's just a simple statement. And I love simple statements in trading. If 113.5 thousand is resistance, the bears have short-term control. And so we're watching these two supports, 1093, 1072, and we are chopping around sideways for the last week. Not much going on. And of course, in the altcoin space, bulls hope sideways for Bitcoin means up for altcoins, and in some instances it has. Quick check-in on the NASDAQ, it's holding on just fine. Bitcoin has been relatively weaker to the NASDAQ over the last week of trading. You can see we had a big bounce. The NASDAQ had this double bottom back to start last week, and we're up near the all-time high. We're not there yet, but the NASDAQ is holding strong. Okay, that's a good sign. Again, overall, the bulls want to see IWM strong, which shows rotation into small caps, high risk, high reward. The FOMC is a week from this Wednesday. It's going to impact IWM, metals, crypto significantly. So keep an eye out for that. But we want to see IWM at all-time highs. Again, just to have nice tailwind, rotation, and risk-on environment. And that all-time high currently is roughly 3-4% from where we stand. So bulls want to see that happen. ETH, same scenario in the sense that we can say if 4,500 is resistance, the bears have short-term control. We've been trading sideways here within this range for a week and a half. Look at all these tops. 45, 45, 45, 45, 45. Very clearly, that is the line in the sand. And we're looking down at the low of 4,200. The most important level is 44,066. So if I'm a bull, if we break 42 and it lacks follow through, I then look for a falling wedge. So what would that look like? Here's the 12-hour time frame for ETH. If we break bear, just don't have any follow through. So keep an eye out for that because a name like Sol just gave us, no, it was Link. Link just gave us a 12-hour falling wedge. It broke bull, not a massive breakout, but bear breaks lacked follow through, and then we broke bull. And now, oftentimes, wedges turn into head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders. And so now this is an attempt at a 12-hour inverse head and shoulders if the falling wedge is going to follow through. So that's what the Link bulls need to see. Shout out to Twitter. I did a vote on August 24th, and I said, when we see rotation out of ETH, where is it going to go? And the three options were XRP, SOL, and Link. 650 votes or something. And half of the people, it was 50%, 25, and half the people picked Sol. And they were right. We topped out the day of the poll on ETH. I didn't expect that. I wasn't calling a top, but I knew it was time to start watching where that rotation would go next. And so it's been nothing but consolidation for ETH since then. And while that has happened, Sol has held strong. So crypto Twitter was right. We have to be cautious of a rising wedge on Sol, but what we care more about are the daily higher lows. So that's the possible rising wedge. Again, bull breaks lacking follow through, but higher low, higher low, higher low. Just keep those going. And the rising wedge doesn't matter if you just keep holding higher lows. So the last one was 199. And again, if you look at Sol ETH, you can see that clear rotation. Now, this was the day of the poll. Nice job, crypto Twitter. Who says retail is always wrong? Rotation. Cool. Good vote. So part of what's been going on, we're going to talk about more altcoins in just a moment, but now let's go to crypto stocks, because the narrative that is being latched onto is, as we know, these treasury companies. And we saw it first with SBET, with this monster run back in May, over the span of a week plus, up 4,000%. BMNR took its turn. Tom Lee with an ETH treasury, 3,500% in a week. So, I've been saying, I don't think altcoins have a 2021 style alt season. I do think the fact that so much of this is happening in the stock market world, it mutes a little bit the altcoin space. But these are the gains that altcoin bulls are hoping for. They're happening in these stocks. And so yesterday, 15 years of trading for me, I saw something yesterday I have never seen before. And it was this OCTO stock going up 5,000% in one day on tens of billions of dollars. Just absolute insanity. And that's because it was announced, big names being announced. WorldCoin is what they're going for here. WorldCoin, BMNR, Tom Lee's company, put 20 million in at like 143 a share. And so they put 20 million investment, and yesterday at the highs, they were up to 1 billion. 20 million to $1 billion in value in one day. So again, what happens with these names is they run thousands of percent, and then they slow bleed and fade and give it all back, right? We know that's not sustainable. But again, that's like 2 alt seasons in one day. And obviously, you're not going to know ahead of time and get in yesterday or 2 days ago and capture 5,000%. But, the news is out, and pre-market, we're trading at $4 and it runs up 1,000% from there. Just mind-boggling. And, I only got a tiny bit of that action. But another one today, Sol. So we got ISPC, Sol Treasury. Again, it's short-lived, but 300% in a few hours, and now we're pulling back. Another one is Ford. Ford is a Sol. We get the announcement. Up 92% yesterday, up at the highs on that announcement. Again, my point is just there's a lot of gains going on in this fervor for altcoin treasury companies on the stock side. And the question is, do these companies accumulating lead to the altcoins breaking out in a big way, or are traders just taking advantage of a lack of liquidity? I mean, OCTO only had 3 million shares or whatever of a float, and we're trading 200 million shares on the day. So is it just big money recognizing that they can just run these things, or will it accumulate? Wrong word. Will it culminate in something bigger for altcoins? You had Zone, this Doge. So here's Zone doing the opposite. It announces, hey, we're going to be a Doge treasury company. It dumps. But then yesterday they announced, hey, we've accumulated, 50 million of Doge or whatever it is, $50 million. Doge has had a little bit of relative strength recently. They want to have 1 billion Doge in their treasury. That's their goal. So we'll see. But it's just really fun to observe. And, I'm trading some of these stocks and having fun with that. And we'll see if it translates into big time altcoin breakout. As we know, the dominance chart needs to stay weak, and it is. Dominance is staying weak. Weekly inside bars. Alt bulls would love to see another leg down on the dominance chart. And we've got, again, what I've been focusing. Well, let's go a couple more stocks, then back to altcoins. A couple more stocks, unrelated. Coin, I'm liking the bottoming pattern here. Google chart guys, balancing scales. And there's a video talking about this kind of reversal that is attempting to take place. And if coin can get over 316, this little double top, we're going to be watching to potentially get into this gap fill. So I like the shift in relative strength in coin. I don't have a swing position yet, but I'm looking for one. Maybe next hourly consolidation, I'll grab something. But glaring relative strength today. Same with Riot, glaring relative strength today. This is a cup and handle. The big miners, CLSK, MARA, and Riot have been doing nothing, bigger picture. But look at how much stronger Riot is here. Riot needs to get over 1534 eventually, but potentially heating up a bit. This is what Riot looks like. Look at what CLSK looks like. Slow bleed. MARA, slow bleed. Riot is standing out very different than these other names. So worth paying attention to. In terms of altcoins, I've said it in many streams, the names to be focusing on, in my opinion, are the newer names with a lack of bag holder overhang supply near all-time highs. And we had, Zora as an example. Still have no idea what Zora does. Doesn't matter. We had this run up where we got an all-time high. We shoot up. We end up going 1,200%. From the lows, even more than that, but we're not going to nail the bottoms and tops. But 1,800%. And if you just get the middle, there's 500% in there. That's why I say the meat of the move. We're not trying to nail tops and bottoms, but shout out to Ryan pointing out another one in the chat room, MYX. Again, same deal. There's periods here where it is only trading $5 million a day, but then it spikes and puts up $150 million a day. But again, just, leg up to all-time highs, 2,200% move. Then we consolidate sideways, sideways, sideways. And then we get another leg up, another 1,200%. So again, the dollar volume that you need for ADA, XRP, Doge, for any of these things that have a history, to see 1,200% move is billions and billions of dollars versus $100 million, $200 million. It's a very different beast. And again, that's why the stock trading world will flock to something like OCTO that goes 5,000% in a day because of its share structure and its narrative and hype. And so this would be tokenomics in terms of what's the supply of coins and things like that. But it's the same concept. It's so much easier to run newer things like this than names that have years of bag holders. So I will constantly be saying that these are the things to be focused on. How do you know which ones? That's tough for sure. The fact that this had two is great. You pay attention to this one, even if you miss it all. And the fact that it got another 1,000% plus after that is great because, as we know, so many times you pump and then give it all back. I'm not saying buy this coin at this point, way too extended. You can do back burners and things like that. But again, the 1,000% gainers are going to be in things that maybe you've never heard of before, certainly not last cycle. There are a bunch of altcoins that do have some nice equilibriums to be keeping an eye on. And I wrote them down in a tweet somewhat recently. We'll check out some of these. Again, just weekly equilibriums. Mana. I haven't looked at Mana in a long time. It actually is trying to break bull. Again, just this. So this is months in the making, since April. Let's clean this up. So just a tightening. Technically, we did get a little bull break there. We definitely need more follow through. But Sand and Mana just tightening up. Just sideways on the weekly. Volatility is coming. Whether we break bull or bear, obviously we hope we break bull. But we know volatility is coming here later in September. Maybe the FOMC next Wednesday is a catalyst for these equilibriums to break. But these patterns are 5 months in the making, and they're going to break really soon. Mana, Sand, Dot. APT, another couple ones. So here's dots, weekly equilibrium just tightening up. APT, weekly equilibrium tightening up, a little bit weaker, not up near resistance like some of those other names. Atom near theta. So I like the clarity of these tightening ranges, near. And worth keeping an eye on the break and a spike in volume coming up within the next few weeks. So paying attention to those. Hyper, blue sky, still staying strong. Had a wall that we got over. No, not hyper. Hype. So Hype had this all-time high resistance wall. Came down, probably hit 4-hour oversold. Nope, didn't quite get there. But new all-time highs. So again, any name that's in all-time highs or near all-time highs, I've been saying this for a long time, those names always at the top of the list for focus, because when you're in blue sky breakout, it is so much easier to move price meaningfully versus names that have tons of resistance levels and bag holders. Okay. Yep, definitely the stock's moving. And also, bubble, right? Yeah, I mean, what these treasury stocks are doing are definitely indicative of a bubble. Not an imminent bubble, in my opinion, but we know these characteristics. If you're running thousands of % in a day or in weeks, it's not sustainable, and it's just, it reminds me of alt season, where everybody's just running to the altcoin that has whatever narrative, whether it's the metaverse or whatever. I mean, that's what's going on in stocks, in crypto treasury stocks right now. Thanks, Daniel. Like buttons appreciated. So yeah, all right, let me just summarize real quick. For those that have capital in the stock market world, the treasury narrative is hot, and the pumps are fairly short-lived, but they're really hard and really fast. And we've got a bunch of altcoins in weekly equilibriums that are going to break very likely later this month, with the FOMC next Wednesday, potentially a catalyst a week from tomorrow. We've got names that have a lack of price history and are at all-time highs, deserve extra attention. And we'll see if Sol's a daily rising wedge or not. Let's check Doge. So again, Doge, a little bit of strength recently. We're up at that weekly resistance. Again, just viewing this as a bull move, higher low, lower high, higher low, tightening up. And again, the reason why I say that I don't think we are going to get the same kind of alt season is Doge's run, where we went 20,000%. Definitely had some very high volume in there, but again, to replicate that again, you can't unless it's blue sky breakout with insane dollar volume. And so maybe that happens, but I see no sign of it. And I hope I'm wrong. So as always, establish your game plans. Bitcoin and ETH, very clear short-term resistance levels to be watching. And check out our website for those pattern resources. All right, just a quickie check-in here. I gotta go get my teeth cleaned. And I appreciate you watching. Make sure and do good things.